Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today I'm going to share some of my thoughts about the big Creative Assembly 25th anniversary announcement that was earlier today. And if you missed it, consider yourself lucky because it was honestly not worth watching live. And breaking it all down, they basically launched the new Tides of Torment Warhammer 3 DLC today, announced the next big Warhammer 3 DLC, the Lords of the End Times, which will come out next year, and spent 30 minutes talking about the features on that DLC. Then we got a 10-minute coverage of a new and long overdue game engine, which will be used for all the upcoming Total War titles in the future. And we got to see a few simple animations showcasing the various new ways you can now destroy a house. And finally, we had the big historical announcement, which, as I had predicted, is Medieval 3. But I had always thought that ever since the launch of Total War 3 Kingdoms back in 2019, the main historical team, located in UK, should have moved on to work on this next historical title. Because if you remember, Total War Troy and Pharaoh were both projects made by the Sophia team, who is now in charge of the Warhammer 3 DLCs. So I had been under the impression that now 6 years later, we should be very close to the release of the next major historical title. Instead, what we got is this announcement. And whether or not you watched this already, I just want to invite you to rewatch the introduction to the game by the game director, who is also the art director for 3 Kingdoms. And as we watch, I propose playing a little drinking game together called Taking a Shot every time you hear the word early.
Yes, Medieval 3 is real. So many of you have long desired a sequel to this special series, and today we're thrilled to confirm that it's in early pre-production. The Medieval series holds a special place in the hearts of many, and this game will be both a tribute to its predecessors and a bold step forward. We're drawing direct inspiration from what made those past games unforgettable, and for it to herald the rebirth of historical Total War. Our vision for the game is ambitious, but clear. We want Medieval 3 to be the definitive Total War experience set in the medieval era. A game where you don't just relive history, you rewrite it. In gameplay terms, that means choosing your realm, forging your legacy, and altering the course of history with a level of player agency we have never achieved before in a Total War title. Now, we are in early pre-production with Med 3, and we're announcing early to take you on our development journey with us, where we can, via blogs and other updates. We've never announced something this early before, and we are excited to engage with you throughout this journey. We have started to build the foundation for Medieval 3, and over time, we will be able to share more about the game as it comes to life. There's a lot more to come, and we can't wait to share it with you. So let's dive in and meet some of the team.
So that's a quick 4 drinks to warm you up. And for me personally, I just hated this because this means the game is nowhere close to finishing, or else you don't call something early pre-production, as pre-production already implies early. And if we move over to their blog posts, then it is even more clear that aside from name-dropping this game as Medieval 3, they have no idea what the gameplay for this game will actually be. There is currently no set start date, and all they're doing here is listing out all these famous historical figureheads and events spanning across centuries, trying to tease players with this idea that they can rewrite history to their will in this upcoming title, without actually showing any substance on how they plan to implement this within the confines of a Total War game. Are they going to have multiple start date, like Crusader Kings or 3 Kingdoms, and have a slow drip of DLC content that will flesh out each start date over time? Because at least in the case of 3 Kingdoms, it definitely didn't work out. And will the map expand to fit these new narratives in the later start dates, as they definitely mention the Mongols? Overall, I just feel like this announcement event was more like a pitch meeting, where the developers and the writers from the history team were sharing these amazing sounding ideas, like, wouldn't it be cool if we had this or that? But in reality, we don't have a game, or even the concept of what this game will be. All we have here, right now, in the last month of 2025 is just the title, Total War Medieval 3, and some concept art that shows a map of parts of Spain with some fog of war and a little glimpse of Paris. But what is worse, in my opinion, is that they also clearly know that they have nothing at this point, but felt compelled to announce something today, which is why they made sure to repeat the word early over and over again in its introduction, to the point where I think not only is there no way this game will be ready for release in 2026 or 2027, the best case scenario is that it gets a late 2028 release date, only to then be delayed into 2029, as these developers will definitely find it extremely difficult to execute these daydream plans that they share today and have a very hard time living up to the anticipation and the hype that they're trying to build today when they don't have these details down. At least with the way Total War games are built today, it's very hard to imagine they can make a game well that would span centuries, covering different areas of interest within this medieval world that they want to build, as they mention playing a faction for 150 years. How many in-game turns would that be? Would this game evolve to be something closer to Crusader Kings 3, as they mentioned in the video that they wanted you to play as these dynasties, where you're not playing as an individual, but you're building up in a family of famous dynasties to create something that's unique to your own world. Yes, you can say that I'm a bit pessimistic today, as this game could definitely turn out great, and I honestly hope it does. And if you're familiar with my channel, then you probably know that I'm usually optimistic when it comes to these type of things, but seriously, this Medieval 3 announcement was just bad. They could announce this years ago if this was how much they intended to show us, much like how Bethesda told the world that they are going to make Elder Scrolls 6, like it was some big announcement and surprise, and that was back in 2018. It's like, yeah, we know you're eventually going to make Medieval 3 one day. What we want to see is how you're going to make Medieval 3. And by not showing us that today, it just makes me feel that CA doesn't have a clue what they're actually going to do yet. And just wanted to throw this out there today on their big 25th anniversary stream to help hype up the crowd. And lastly, speaking about the opposite of hype, this stream ended with some messages from the various employees of CA celebrating the 25th anniversary of their company, and as I had the pleasure of working with a few members from CA in the past, I want to make it clear that my criticisms here are not directed at everyone at the company, as these decisions are usually made at the top. But honestly, whose idea was it to have this announcement video end with a "oh, one more thing" announcement that they have a game trailer ready for their promised new fantasy title, but they can't share it today in their own announcement video because they want to release it as part of the Game Awards show teaser on December 11th. So why didn't you move this announcement to December 11th? So everyone didn't have to sit through an hour only to get another tease that this will be next week instead. It's not that hard. Don't create this anticipation of 2 new game announcements ahead of time, like literally month ahead of time, for all the fans who want your company to succeed, only to give us the pitch meeting for one with some meaningless live action announcement trailer with no game asset showcased, and a last word from a game director telling us that yes, we do have this new awesome fantasy title, but we can't show you anything today in our own company's own announcement stream that we have been hyping because it has to be next week during the Game Awards show. It's simply the worst way to end a already pretty disappointing announcement video, and I just hate it. At the end here, I just want to say that most likely we will see a summer release time set for the Lords of the End Time DLC for Warhammer 3 in 2026, and hopefully this time they can keep to that schedule. And by next week, we'll probably get to see what this new hyped up fantasy title will be, hopefully with at least a cinematic trailer, if not a gameplay trailer, if it's being reserved for the Game Awards show. And it's probably going to be set with a very vague 2026 release date, maybe for the holiday seasons. And my prediction for this fantasy title is still going to be Star Wars Total War, because if I was CA's parent company and publisher Sega, I probably want to diversify a little bit away from Games Workshop. So 40K, which is the other rumor out there, is less likely, at least in my opinion. But we'll see next week. In either case, it's pretty clear. We're just not going to get a new historical Total War to play in 2026 or 2027, because apparently 6.7's ruining the world, and I'm just super disappointed that Medieval 3 is just in early pre-production. So let me know how you guys are feeling after this announcement in the comments below, and I will see you all next time, probably after the Game Awards show when they finally have the new trailer out. And until then, bye!